Hi, this is John from Jam Tribe. In today's video, I'm going to be highlighting the Infinity E2 seat. Just a bit of background information. I was in the search of a seat that would help reduce pressure sores, contemplating doing the IndyPac event in 221. And the research I'd done prior to that event, I spoke to a lot of past riders that had done the IndyPac as well as Trans Am riders. And another seat that came up many times was the Infinity seat that certain riders that had completed those events recommended. So I then researched that seat. I found that they were made in Southern California in America, designed by a chiropractor. They're quite a unique looking seat. They get quite sort of strange reactions when people see that particular seat on your bike. They're very pricey. I think currently $327 US. And I was very skeptical when I actually saw the seat when I was initially researching it. So keeping in mind that I was wanting to sort of mitigate risks of pressure sores doing IndyPac in 221, I thought I'll give this seat a go. I ordered one from the USA and trialed it extensively. And this is my review today on sort of what I found. So when I initially got the seat, it's very basic. It's an outer shell covered, I think, 1/8 inch sort of aerospace foam and handcrafted sort of outer and Italian leather. It weighs, I think, 245 grams, and it came with a 30-day money back guarantee, which coaxed me to buy one, because I thought if I don't like it, I can always send it back and get my money back. Now, when I first tried it, the first few days, maybe week, I thought, oh, this just feels really strange, okay? And I thought, I think I'm going to be sending this back, but I thought I'll persevere. The design concept made sense to me. It's designed to relieve pressure from both the sit bones or the ischial tuberosities as well as the peroneal area. So this is the seat. This is actually mounted on the bike that I attempted IndyPac in 221 and got as far as Adelaide. So I only went effectively halfway, which was 2,800 kilometers versus 5,400, which I was aiming for. But the good thing is that this seat enabled me to get to Adelaide without any pressure sores. Prior to that, I tested it doing a 1,000-kilometer week with absolutely no issues at all once my body got used to it. A big part in making this seat work for you is setting it up properly. I found initially that I didn't have it angled down the front, the nose down enough. I sort of started out with the rails parallel and eventually sort of went to a very downward position. For the portion of IndyPac that I rode, I was predominantly on the aero bars. Okay, so I was in a fairly forward position, but not super aggressive, having rises on my aero bars. Things about the seat that are particular to this seat are that I feel that you tend to get locked in one position with it, and it's crucial that you get the seat set up exactly to suit that position if you choose to be on the aero bars, riding sort of flat distance, flat sort of roads for miles and miles. Once I got that position set, I was extremely happy with it. So the basic principle of this seat is it removes pressure from your ischial tuberosities or sit bones, as well as the peroneal area, the area between your anus and your genitals. So it takes pressure off those areas, and they're the areas that usually will develop pressure sores over prolonged sort of periods of riding, ultra distance events. Now, what a downfall of this seat is, though, is that pressure's got to be distributed somewhere else. So it tends to distribute the pressure on more soft tissues, sort of surrounding your ischial tuberosities and your bum area. And if you're not careful, you can develop pressure sores in that area, but it's a lot less likely than in those sort of bony areas of your ischial tuberosities, as well as your perineum. The maximum width of this seat, sit bone to sit bone, is quoted as 130 millimeters. So that's roughly this area here. So your sit bone's going to fill in sort of between that area there when you're riding it. And me personally, I think my sit bones are approximately 120 millimeters. So I found that to me, this seat felt like my sit bones were at the limit on it, and if my sit bones were any wider, it probably wouldn't perform as it's intended to do by relieving pressure from that area. And as I said, there was sort of pressure on the external soft tissue, lateral or outwards to those sit bones, which I had to be really careful of that they didn't develop into pressure sores. Having said that, I was extremely happy with the seat, and this is the seat that I chose to do IndyPack over other seats that I reviewed leading up to attempting that ride. So just to go over that point again, this seat, I find that you really have to particularly get the position spot on. That is crucial, and that can be a bit of a lengthy process and can take time. So you've got to be very patient, but once you get it to that point, you know, there's not, I don't think, many other seats that are comparable to this. Of course, it's not going to fit everybody. I'd say if your sit bones are sort of, you know, that 130 mil area, then it might not be the ideal seat for you. Also, I noticed when I was doing that sector from Perth to Adelaide that bike fit and setup is crucial, but I think it's also a very dynamic process, especially for endurance riders or racers. So what you start out with as an ideal position may not be the ideal position 5, 6, 10 days later when fatigue sets in. You've got sores, aches, and things such as that. You may need to change that position or adjust that seat, such as moving it slightly forward or down. It's a very dynamic process, bike fit, to make that seat work for you, you know, in such situations as those ultra distance events. Yeah, in summary, so if you're considering a seat for sort of ultra endurance events, whether they be on road or off road, I think that this seat is close to the top of the list if it works for you. But keep in mind that there are ultra endurance riders I spoke to that they've tried it and it simply doesn't work for them, and they prefer other seats such as the Celia Anatomica, which I reviewed in a previous video. And the other thing I'd like to say again is that it is a very sort of locked in position feeling seat. There is a bit of room to move forward on it, but if you rotate your pelvis too far forward or tend to sort of creep up on the nose, you then are at risk of starting to put pressure on the perineum area if you're coming too forward onto this nose. If you're in the sort of correct position, you will not have pressure there, and that's a really great design feature of this seat. Yes, it looks strange, but I believe in this case, it's a really functional sort of design, and it's quite unique in the sense that it's a outer shell with a cutout area, but it actually works. Well, it worked for me at least. And would I use it again if I was doing IndyPack or another ultra endurance event? I probably would.